Welcome to Tweet of the Week. I am happy to be joined today by a very special teacher and a very special instructional assistant. Margie Liddick is our culinary arts teacher at the Career Technology Center, and she is joining me today with one of the special ed IAs there, Viktor Kraenbring, and I want to thank you both for being here because what you are tweeting about is mouthwatering in every way, but it is also a great example of the creative problem solving that our teachers have gone through in adapting to the pandemic, a virtual environment. And Margie, you had to be particularly creative because even though a lot of our kids are coming in for their programs at CTC in small groups, because so much is hands-on, you have a hands-on program with a big problem. So you want to lay your problem out there first, and then we can get on to how you solved it.
All right. Initially we were very excited to get back to hands-on and get into the kitchen. And then when we looked at the logistics of it, we just couldn't follow the safety protocols as far as social distancing in the kitchen. We definitely cut the class size back and figured out how many students we could safely have in the kitchen and in any of the labs at CTC. But particularly in the culinary lab, we couldn't move our stations and our stoves or our dish room where we would have multiple students in a close area for an extended period of time. So it just didn't work out for us that we could return with small groups. So we were asking the students to cook at home. And then even with that, to remain equitable, we have to provide ingredients. At first, we were working with eggs, and that was something that most people could have and have readily available. But as we moved into bigger, more complicated labs, and to make sure that everyone had every ingredient that they needed for it to work properly and still maintain the technical standards, we decided that we would provide ingredient bags for the students. So we decided to start making those, and then realized with 50 students, that became a bit more of a task than I had initially anticipated.
And so that's where Viktor came in. And Viktor, do you want to describe the process that you and Margie have developed for this?
Well, every week we get together and Margie develops the menus and the recipes. And hence, as Margie had mentioned earlier, we have 50 students that we have to prepare these for. So it can be a little labor intensive, especially when there's just 2 or 3 of us and they're doing it. So it's been a lot of fun. Again, just basically basic measurements in the beginning, a lot of plastic bags, a lot of containers, a lot of counting, things like that. Takes us back to our beginnings, I guess, in the industry of just kind of re-energizes us a little bit too, to bring us back a little bit to, that people have to prep and we have to do these things. So we move forward in that respect.
And so I understand that you do have a background in the hospitality industry as well.
Yes, a little bit, yes.
So again, what a great find for Frederick County Public Schools. And truly, kudos to both of you for undertaking this incredible task. I can't even begin to imagine, because trying to prep to bake cookies, just me alone in my kitchen, that's enough for me. I can't imagine trying to measure out 50 teaspoons of salt, and as you said, how do you package that, how do you contain that? But your tweet, and I hope everybody will check it out, kind of shows what you have done there. And Margie, you also said that, again, we have to keep that equity focus, and many of the students were able to get there and pick up. But what did you do for the students who weren't able to get to the school to get these ingredients?
Right. This was something that we talked about from the beginning, that there could be multiple reasons that folks may not be able to pick up. And we tried to make it on one day to make it easier for the staff at CTC. Our secretary, Carla Eshelman, and some of the custodians come together to help, because students could come at any point within that 8 hours to pick up their stuff, but it's got to be refrigerated. So they have to get them at the door and get their name and run down and grab the bags and bring it back to them. And if they can't, the reason they tried to do it on Wednesdays is because students that are going face to face on the other days were trying not to complicate the busing and the drop-offs and the pickups. So if they can't make it on a Wednesday, Mr. Newkirk, the assistant principal, will deliver the ingredients to, could be anywhere all over Frederick County. And he's been a real sport about that as far as trying to communicate with me, communicate with the students, what the best time is to drop it off. He'll come in and pick the stuff up and deliver it. So there's a whole lot at play that goes into this. And as we talk about the 50 bags, it's 3 different classes. So it's not even like 50 of the same thing. There's a culinary 1, there's a culinary 2, there's a baking. So it's all different stuff that's in there, and everything just has to align perfectly for it to happen. And there have been some hiccups, but we're figuring out how to manage those. And the students and the parents have just been wonderful about the process. I think they're appreciative of it, and they love it because now this food is being cooked and baked at home, and they are the recipients of the other end of that. But it's going pretty well so far.
Well, as one who has been the recipient when we were in the buildings and they were cooking, I can understand how excited their families are that they get to sample the amazing things their children are making. And, I could not have imagined a better tweet to try to help the community understand what a logistical undertaking all of this has been for our teachers, our administrators, getting the kinds of materials that our kids need to do the work they need to do virtually from home. It is a huge undertaking, lots of hours, lots of, again, trying to creatively problem solve. You talked about a couple of elements many others don't have to think of. Their materials don't have to be refrigerated. And that whole piece of, it's not like it used to be. You just can't walk in, go down to a classroom and pick up something you forgot or something that you need. So again, I just want to say, thank you to both of you for doing all of this extra work to try to ensure that our students have that same relevant and exciting educational experience that they would have if they were at CTC, other than they wouldn't be bumping into the other chefs unless family members are getting in their way in their kitchens at home. But thank you so much for what you're doing for our students. Thank you for tweeting about it and showing how amazing it truly is. And I just also have to give huge props to Margie for wearing that Raven Santa cap, because, you want to talk about holiday cheer. There it is. So thank you so much for being here today. Please check out these tweets, because again, the things that our teachers and administrators and our instructional assistants are doing for our kids are truly worthy of celebrating. Thank you both so much for being here, and we'll see you next time on Tweet of the Week.